legislation. What is JCPS doing to prepare for that? I think we all know that it's coming. I think it's time to start resisting that and preparing for how we're going to take advantage of potential opportunity. I know nothing about the legislation. Every time I come to an education talk and talk to people about it, I don't get any clarity about it. So if you guys could say anything about that, that would be great.
Okay, I'm not the politician in Frankfurt. We know it's coming and we want to be prepared for it. What are our concerns? Our concerns are that we continue to keep the children that are in public education. I don't care what you call the charter, whether it's public charter, private charter, whatever charter. The important thing to me is that the money follows the students and that we provide the best opportunities. What's going on in Frankfurt now is there have been bills that have been filed that have not been voted on, but we know that some things happen very quickly. We've experienced that in the last couple of weeks. So the question becomes, what will charters look like and how will that impact the neighborhoods? One of the things personally that I am concerned about and will be looking for in my neighborhoods and at my schools as charter schools come in, I do not want to go back to the time of the have and the have-not schools. We've been there and we've done that. So I'm not saying that's what we're doing. I'm saying that we want to be careful. We want to pay attention. We do not want to diminish from one to add to the other. Everybody, charter schools are good, they're good ones, they're bad ones. Public schools are good, they're good ones, and they're bad ones. So what we should focus on is quality for student learning. I wish I could tell you everything that was going on in Frankfurt. I cannot, and maybe that's another session. I mean, but all I can speak to is I don't know all the legislation. There's one filed about charter schools. There's another House Bill 513 filed by State Representative Bratcher that has to do with removing transportation, which could push us back to the neighborhood schools. I will say to you, if something like that passes, I will have 17,000 students in District 1. So as we think about that, think about the 7+ schools you will have to build in this district to take care of the babies that come to District 1. So that one I am paying attention to because I'm concerned about what will happen to the children if people say keep them in the district. We have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. And I'm not the politician, so I'll turn it over to some other political folks. So
I think I've definitively proven that I'm not the politician. So I would just add a couple of things. First, there's a lot of debate in Frankfurt about who will have the authority to authorize a charter, whether that's a local or a state function, whether there's one entity or several. The most important piece of that is that Frankfurt give the authority, along with the mandate, to choose quality and proven operators. Otherwise, if you get a bunch of startups run by people who've never opened a school before, you're likely to have a high rate of failure. The other important thing is if this new tool comes in, it has to be treated like any other new tool that might work and tested and either validated or invalidated. And one of the big questions of the current board, which I know that Frankfurt is asking, is if the local school boards have authorizing authority, will the current board use it, or will it just stonewall? And that's an important question. I mean, some cities, and we were supposed to have a gentleman from Indianapolis with us today. He couldn't come at the last minute, so we're a little surprised. Our planning said, question about charter schools, give it to Mr. Llewellyn, because he's running charter schools right now. But we gotta make sure that we use whatever authority we have for the benefit of the students.
Let me add to that, because it's something that I have spent probably more time than I planned on thinking about. Charter schools have been sold into African American communities, particularly as a panacea to address all of the ills that exist within our system. So we started out talking about achievement gap today, and that achievement gap drives a lot of the discussion. as they said earlier, some charter schools are good, some are bad. The question is where does control of the charter school lie? Does it lie with the local school board, the local school district, or lie at the state level? The big important issue with charter schools is it's all right to authorize charter schools, but are you going to fund them and continue to fund the public school system at the level that's necessary to make certain students are taken care of? And that ends up being a continuous problem. Another issue with charter schools, and everyone says, you know, they talk about charter schools. There's an admission process at charter schools, and most of the time they do what we call creaming. They take the top students, top students from those schools, top students, and they admit those. The other thing that happens in charter schools is the first time you have a major discipline issue, you put out, and then you have to end up somewhere else. So, you know, I think as we look at and debate charter schools, we got to make certain that the legislation that is passed addresses those issues and addresses them silently, as opposed to sending out, again, another unfunded mandate that ends up impacting schools where we're trying to make the achievement gap and improve at this point in time. One more question.
Hi, my question is in regards to the way the transportation is handled from the east end to the west end. I'm a former JCPS bus driver. We would write the referrals on students. Students in the west end were expelled from school, where a student from the east end or another school could get the same referral and nothing would happen. So can you please explain how that works in combination with federal funding, students getting to be in their seats, so black kids are suspended or expelled for a white kid for the same infraction? It's not. What's the difference in the monies?
Let me say the little that I know about bus transportation. There should not be two sets of rules for anybody riding the bus. Please don't go out and say we expel students. We suspend students in the Jefferson County Public Schools. Someone should be monitoring the bus referrals. The area superintendents are looking at that. They're working individually with their schools. If there is an inequity with that, that needs to be reported to our chief equity officer or our ombudsman, because we do not have two sets of rules for students. And if there's misbehavior on the bus, what happens should be consistent, no matter whether it's the east end or the west end. We see a lot of stories about problems on the bus. We've been asked to put monitors on the bus. We've done that. I can tell that when you were the bus driver, you probably didn't have to write many referrals for your bus. I got that. I saw that when you stood up. So it's about how you approach your work and what you want it to be. So I heard you, other people have heard you, and there will be some checking on what you said. So thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you.
Just real quickly, I'm not going to say anything about buses, but one thing that we did not talk about that I think we should have fit in here is the disparity overall in suspensions. All right, and I'm sorry we didn't talk about that, but it is dramatic and it reflects a whole lot of different things. That is another part of equity, and I apologize that we didn't get to that issue.
I think we got question time to do a couple more questions. One of your microphones coming.
Yes, I'm Dr. George Warman. I'm an educational psychologist. And I'm just wondering, when are we going to stop chasing this modern day bell curve, the achievement gap? Are we teaching to the achievement gap, or are we just teaching the children? Seems like if 50% of white children are successful, and that means that 50% are not, which just means that there's something inadequate about the curriculum. And me personally, I have 5 brothers, 3 sisters, 17 nephews, 12 nieces, and 50-something great nieces and nephews running around the West End. And I don't want them compared to the success of my children. They have some attributes that they can live up to, and there are some expectations that we should look at besides how well they compare to white children.
I don't think the question there. Let's move
smarter, and the first thing they learned is that they were not as smart. And I think that I'm wondering what has changed since the 90s and what we're going to do about that.
I'd love to tell you what has changed. When I came to the Board of Education, advanced program classes were not offered in every school. We stopped that. Advanced program classes are in every school, and we are proud of that. What are we doing for students that might almost pass the test or not pass or be really close? There's an appeal process. If you get close, you can appeal that. But better than that, we have something called the REACH program during the summer, which is to encourage students and to prepare them for the advanced program testing. The program consistently has had children in it that look like me and look like Dr. Nunez over there, because we're trying to do outreach to respond to the question that you just asked. We knew that was a problem. We are dealing with it. The numbers are in fact coming up. Advanced program classes are for all children, and we have programs to prepare children to be successful. If you get the letter that says you were not admitted, then you ask for a conference to appeal that.
And back to the board composition, the steady voice pounding on this issue over the years has been Diane Porter.
Hi, okay. I am speaking from 3 different perspectives. I am an ECE JCPS certified teacher. I'm a parent, well, I'm a grandmother now of students that actually attend public schools. And as a community advocate that's concerned, I have 2 questions. My first question is that we just heard in our faculty meetings that there are going to be budget cuts to schools like, I teach in Newburgh, I live in Port Duval area. But both of those areas are deemed zones of hope neighborhoods where we know we are struggling with trying to save our youth from violence, gangs, and all other sorts of things. So why is the school district cutting ESS and Title I funds to schools and neighborhoods that greatly need after-school programs? And then my second part of the question is, as an ECE teacher, I can stand here before you when I say that I entered Newburgh in 2015 with 15 kids that was novice in all 4 content areas, and that I have half of my students, I made a promise that I'm going to work hard, get down. Half of my students, I have them ranging from distinguished to proficient to apprentice. And when I say that, if I looked in their files and judge my student learners, and my class is very diverse, Hispanics, African Americans, Jewish, white. If I looked in their files and read what previous schools said about those students, their behaviors and what abilities they lacked, our deficits,
Let's get to a question.
it wouldn't have happened. And so what I'm saying to you all is that we need to, I'm asking for my employer, who I love, to actually enforce these core values. We actually need more multicultural curriculum in the schools. We need all teachers. We have some amazing teachers at JCPS, but we also have.
Need to let some other people ask questions, so please get to the question.
Let me quickly say, as you talk about budget, the budget is not final. We have 2 more meetings before the budget is finalized. That's one of the reasons that I asked that you take the strategic plan, put the money to the strategic plan, because we cannot afford to cut significant programs. That's a quick answer. I know I didn't take care of everything that you talked about, but we do not have a final budget. We have 2 additional meetings before we finalize the budget. All thoughts are being thought out. All thoughts are being worked out. I am specifically looking for help for schools that have a different population. What are we doing to make that population successful? Or better yet, the bigger issue is look at the student assignment plan and figure out what we're doing wrong that we have schools with high concentrations of free and reduced lunch. We have an issue that we have to deal with. That's a quick answer, sorry.
Question.
My recommendation is that we start to do from pre-K through 5th grade phonics-based reading programs. They have helped children who come from deficient language backgrounds. And one of our major problems is we are not addressing that need.
Thank you.
Question is,
employee with SCPS, and earlier we talked about the need for minority teachers, but I would like to suggest that part of the solution would be minority support staff. As a licensed clinical social worker and part of student support, which is what I refer to myself, I took Vision 2020 because we were given a charge to tell our jobs, how our skills fit into Vision 2020, and I'm in on IEP meetings, working with reducing suspensions, and so I believe in all of that, especially the part where I love myself and I can learn that we break down those barriers and give people an equal opportunity, then they themselves improve. But I heard you say that there's going to be a reduction or not as much income to the non-classroom adult, and that is me. Because I'm not a teacher and I'm not part of the administration, but I feel that my role is crucial to the bigger piece of the puzzle because I'm helping to address the psychosocial issues and the street issues that the administration has to about. So please do not discount the minority supportive staff.
And so let me just say, 1,000 more teachers, it's the best hashtag I've been able to come up with, but teachers means teachers, psychologists, social workers, the people who work with the kids who need extra help. That's where the resources need to flow. So I agree with you, I just don't have a better hashtag yet.
okay, thank you all. Again, to close this out, we would be remiss if we didn't share with you at least plans that JCPS has for the Du Bois Academy. So I'm going to ask Ms. Porter to share with you because this is very, very important. We talked about different ways of addressing gaps in the community, in the school. This one's one that is designed to address the gap among African American males. So you should know about it and get engaged and get behind it. So, Diane, close up with this.
The Du Bois Academy is a concept that we are working to move forward. We currently have hired a facilitator, project manager to answer all the questions. What does it look like? It looks like 150 sixth grade males of color, all colors, coming into a learning environment with a focus on Afrocentric learning. Is it open to every male? Absolutely. You don't have to be a male of color. Why are we approaching it with 150 males? Because if you look at the data, if you look at the achievement scores for males of color, it is nowhere where it needs to be. If we keep doing what we've always done, we'll keep getting what we've always got. This is not an attempt. This is not an attempt. This is not an attempt to resegregate the schools. This is an attempt to meet young people where they are, to provide a learning environment for them to be successful, and to give them the supports that they need. What have we looked at? We've looked at examples in other parts of the country. The person that is working with us is coming to us from Fayette County, has worked with it herself. One of the things that we're hearing is slow down, go do this, go do that. Our faith-based organizations are supporting us by having out-of-school time programs. We need to put all of that in a basket and let everybody know what's going on. This board member will not slow down. We have slowed down long enough. I'm not putting my kids on the back of the bus. This is important for learning. You've heard my voice. I'm not telling you my vote. I'm telling you what's in my heart. I ask you to pay attention. We will be announcing opportunities for you to come around and learn more about it. I ask you to support it. And for all of those people that live on the other side of 9th Street, call your board member or send them an email. This is a community initiative. And I will say what I said at the last meeting. After seeing Hidden Figures, I'm also going to speak at some point about an academy for females of color, because we have got that. So that's a little bit. I'll be here after. I'm happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Put your hands together and